What's your name and DOC number?
Lamar Fisher 702867.
All right, Mr. Fisher, and do you have a parole revocation questionnaire there with you?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
In front of you. Is that your signature on that page at the bottom?
Yes,
Dated
ma'am.
February 16th of this year?
Yes.
That's you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Fisher, based on your answers to those questions on that questionnaire, you're not eligible for appointed counsel. Are you ready to proceed this morning with the parole hearing? The revocation hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll read the allegations against you, sir, after which you will enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. And then I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Freeman. Your case has been assigned to him. He'll ask you some questions. At the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement before we reach a decision. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
You're accused of violating the conditions of your parole, specifically condition number 1, which states upon release, I will report no later than 48 hours to the probation and parole office, which is listed on the certificate. You were released from the Orleans Justice Center on June 11th, 2022, and failed to report as required. How do you plead to violating condition number 1?
I plead guilty, ma'am, with a
State.
You said I can make a statement later, right?
Right. So I'll say, so I'm going to put guilty with a statement. We'll get you statement. So let's move on. Condition number 2, which says I will submit a monthly report by the 5th of every month until I complete my supervision. I will also report to my parole officer when ordered to do so. You failed to provide a valid residential address. A warrant was requested and flashed on February 8, 2023. How do you plead to violating condition number 2?
I'm gonna plead guilty to that also, ma'am.
Okay. And then we have condition number 4, which says on or about June 8, 2022, you're arrested by NOPD and charged with committing the offense of simple assault, theft, and domestic abuse battery, unauthorized use of a movable, and theft under $100. You pled guilty to the theft charge. So how do you plead to violating condition number 4?
I'm gonna plead not guilty because I'm sorry.
Okay, put not guilty with a statement. We have another instance of condition number 4. You were arrested on September 27, 2023 by Kenner Police Department and placed in Jefferson Parish Correctional Center. You were charged with passing on the shoulder, no auto insurance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of marijuana, 21 grams. You admitted to smoking marijuana. You pled guilty to possession of marijuana, which is a misdemeanor, and received credit for time served under Jefferson docket 23-4872 on December 14, 2023. How do you plead to that instance of violating condition number 4?
I'm gonna plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay, and then we have number 10. You are currently in arrears in monthly supervision fees and have not made a payment since August 6, 2021. You are currently in arrears $1,573 and the processing fee of $65. How do you plead to violating condition number 10?
I'm gonna plead guilty, ma'am.
Okay, so would you answer Mr. Freeman's questions, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Fisher, how long have you been in jail on this charge? How long have they detained you?
6 months, sir.
6 months, okay. And you had 2 separate charges, right? You had the arrest for passing on the shoulder and marijuana?
Yes, sir.
Guilty to simple marijuana, and then you had simple assault and domestic abuse battery and theft. And I think you pled guilty to the theft.
No, sir. That I actually wasn't trying to plead guilty to that, but it was an instance to where in a preliminary hearing, they had 2 different charges, but they had it on as one arrest. So I tried to admit to when we did get into the altercation on the second one, me and my baby mother, we share a car, and I jumped in the car just to take a little ride to cool off, but I didn't plead guilty to stealing anything, sir. But I did admit that we did share a car, and I got in the car just to take a ride to get away from the situation.
Okay, and what was the situation? What happened? Tell me what happened on that day.
On that day, I had woke up in the middle of the night. We had a sexual encounter, and during the sexual encounter, the phone lit up. And when her phone lit up, she didn't want to like answer the phone, so I took the phone and I went in the phone, and that turned into an argument. So the next day, she went out with her friends and left me the car. And I believe that was on Mother's Day. And on that day, I had went out with some of my friends. She called me for the car to bring her back the car. I didn't make it back on time with the car, and by the time I made it back with the car, her mom was over there. When her mom was over there, her mama didn't want to let me back in the house. She told me to leave. So I didn't want to force entry, so I just left. And by the time I came back that night, the police was when I was inside, the police came back and they arrested me, and they said that I had a warrant for a previous charge.
Okay. So how are you saying that the marks got on her face?
All right, that was a different case. That day, she called me to get the children ready. At that time, she was working overnight, and I was working in the morning time. So when she called me and told me to get our son ready, I couldn't find this jacket, and I told her that I couldn't find the jacket. So when she got to the house, she asked me to, before she got to the house, she told me if I couldn't find a jacket, that I had to find a ride to work. So I called me a ride to work, because I already knew what it was going to be before she even got there. I called me a ride, and when my ride came, I just so happened to leave out the house about 5 minutes before she came. I had went walk to the front of the building. And when I made it to the front of the building, it was cold outside. So I turned around to go back home, so it wouldn't look like I left the children there by themselves. And when I made it back inside, she was in there screaming and hollering, and she started punching me. When she started punching me, I grabbed her, put her in like a little bear hug, and when I put in a bear hug, she bit me. She bit me on the left side of my neck, and the only way I can get her off me is by like put my hands in her face and like move out of the way. That's how she get the scratch on her face. She started trying to fight me. I broke out the house running. Now she calling my phone about a key. She followed me all the way to work for the key. I ignored her, act like I didn't see her, and the police was once again called on me that time.
Okay, so
I wasn't the aggressor.
you wasn't gonna what?
I wasn't the aggressor.
You wasn't the aggressor.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Do you have a drug problem?
I wouldn't necessarily say a drug problem, but I was smoking a little marijuana.
You ever did any other kind of drug?
No, sir.
What was the contraband you brought into the New Orleans prison?
That was a little bag of it was an open bag of marijuana that was already used. It was just a plastic from a bag of marijuana that I smoked.
And it was yours?
It was a piece of plastic. It really wasn't even. It was just a little piece of plastic. It wasn't.
Was it yours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then I see you got moved for another disciplinary reason. What was that one for?
You said I got moved for what?
Because of a disciplinary reason. You just got moved up there because you had a disciplinary problem. What was it?
A disciplinary problem in the jail?
Yeah.
Oh, I got written up for being in the shower after hours.
Okay, let's see, anything else? No, that's all the questions I have.
I'd like to say something else, please.
Okay, you get to make a statement at the end and you can say anything you want.
Okay.
Okay?
So what is your relationship with Miss Reynolds now?
Oh, we still together. We still raising our children together. I'm still at the same address. We still in this still sharing a car. We still me and her.
So you share children?
Yeah, we have children together.
And how many children?
We have 2 children together.
Okay. And where is Miss Reynolds today?
Same address, 2608 Graville Street,
I guess what I'm asking is why, did she know you were gonna be having a hearing today?
Yeah, but she worked.
Okay. All right. All right, so now is your time to tell us what you want us to know.
All right, this is my first time on parole. I never been on parole before, but I was on probation once or twice before. And after I got released prior to me getting released from the domestic violence, when the charges got dropped, I never was informed that I never was informed verbally that I had 48 hours to report. And prior to me being arrested, I had a second parole officer whose name was Mr. Robert Hall. Mr. Robert Hall was coming to see me at my job every month. And when he don't come and see me, he'll Zoom me or he'll call me on my cell phone. When I got arrested, I was told that Mr. Robert Hall been out for the last 5 months. But the parole officer that came and saw me, she never verbally told me that I had to come report 48 hours after, and I did not read the paper to see that I had 48 hours after I've been released. Like I said, I've never been on parole, so I'm learning as I go.
All right, so that's your statement to the violation for condition number 1.
Right.
You say guilty.
Yes, ma'am. And when I got out that time, like I said, I've been on probation before, and I know on probation, a lot of the time they just tell me stay out of trouble and I'm good. So when I got out of jail, I thought that I had a clean slate. I thought maybe he was gonna come back as my parole officer and continue where we left off, but that never happened. And I didn't.
That's enough. You've made your statement, and I'll just want to just inform you that you did sign your release certificate on June 21st, 2021. And it's on the page where the conditions are listed, and you say that I understand the conditions, which clearly states I'll report no later than 48 hours. So, you say nobody verbally told you, but you did sign that you received and understood those instructions.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, we're ready to vote, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. Fisher, you have 2 separate violations. You pled guilty to a charge on each of them. You continue to use drugs. You said it was an argument and stuff. It got a little physical, but her face is tore up. I mean, I think it's bite marks is what it looks like. So my vote today is to revoke.
Mrs. Dew.
Violate condition.
My vote is to revoke. You were not compliant on your well.
And Mr. Fisher, I also find you guilty of violating condition number 4. So my vote also today is to revoke your parole supervision.